106 job seekers for every vacant job. Let's have a look. Hello everyone, Florian.Heise here, and grab your stein of coffee. Today we're going to have a look at an article from ABC News just discussing, well, in one study, the number of job seekers that are out there for every vacant job. 106 people for every job, guys. That's pretty tough. Pretty tough odds. And, well, you got to think about it from both sides. If you're advertising to get someone and you just get flooded with applicants. I remember when we were advertising for architecture students and you get 20 or 30 applicants and there's just too many. You want to do everyone justice, but after a while you can't go through that many. It takes too long. And then, of course, businesses will outsource it to HR departments, and then it's, well, it's not the same, is it? The grim reality for job seekers has been exposed in new research that lays out Australia's unemployment epidemic. Now, right now, our unemployment rate, according to the ABS, is sitting at 6.8%. You can see it here. I'm just going to bring up the Roy Morgan unemployment estimates. If you're not familiar with it, this is an alternative methodology used. And here they have their estimates, and we'll have to go right down the bottom. And they're saying it's 12.9%. The rule of thumb is you generally double the unemployment rate to get the Roy Morgan figures. You know, I don't know about you, but 1 hour a week, or sorry, 1 hour work during the survey period, that means you're employed according to the ABS methodology. I think it's not as unemployment isn't as rosy as the ABS are painting, and the government are aware of that. Most people are aware of that. I suspect they just keep doing it because they want to maintain reference back to historic data. Anglicare Australia's latest survey of job availability shows it is especially dire for people seeking entry-level jobs that do not require prior experience or qualifications beyond high school. And we can have a look here. We can see the job ads from ANZ. Now, they went up, but we had a huge fall in job ads. The question is, will the government's attempts to stimulate employment by giving people these credits, particularly targeting younger people, which are here shown as, well, the ones in the toughest situation, will that work? Will $100 a week or $200 a week off their pay, would that be enough for you to, jump out and hire someone? Across the nation, there are 8 entry-level job seekers for every appropriate position. In Tasmania, it's 21 job seekers per job. In this downturn, people who need the most help to find work are being left behind, Anglicare Australian Executive Director Casey Chambers said in the report. Now, we're seeing the IMF, not the IMF, the World Health Organization coming out critical of these lockdowns, because the one thing you can be certain with the lockdowns is it makes poorer people poorer. It's the less well-off are going to cop it the most. Where you've got people in cushy government jobs or people in service jobs who are not even experiencing it yet at all. Their lives are probably going on completely like normal. So it kind of throws it in when these politicians, when these civil servants, when they're getting angry on Facebook and typing hate to people when their lives haven't changed or they've still gotten their pay rises. It's very easy to call upon others to make sacrifices when you don't need to make any yourself. There aren't enough jobs at their skill level to meet demand in any part of the country. If you include all job seekers, including newly unemployed, with skills and experience, who may be looking for work at a level below what they've previously held, there are as many as 106 job seekers for every entry-level position. And that's going to happen. You're going to do what you need to do to get by, to support your family, to keep your house. And, well, there's the other reason where ageism comes in, where people are going to go, oh, you're too experienced, or, they can't say you're too old, but that's what they're thinking. This is not news to single mother Sonia, who has been applying for jobs since becoming unemployed in February last year. You just feel defeated. You just feel deflated. You think, oh no, not again, why bother? But you have to bother or you lose everything. This is the problem. It can be scarring and it can lead to depression. Sonia lives in Adelaide's northern suburbs and has experienced and training in retail. But the sheer number of people applying alongside her for recent jobs, such as a Christmas casual position in a card store and another in a shoe store, has rattled her. I applied for a job last week and there were 793 other applicants for that one casual job. The following day I applied for another 463 applications, she said. Oh, see, so it's getting better. Still, that's hundreds. There's hundreds going for these jobs. So it's the worst recession in living memory. The Jobs Availability Snapshot 2020 report explains how tough the job market is for people without qualifications or work experience. Recent news reports backed up Sonia's experience, detailing how entry-level jobs had attracted thousands of applicants. Here's the thing, everyone. Here's the thing with entry-level jobs, particularly in the service sectors. A lot of them will get sent overseas, will get outsourced. In my profession, a lot of the drafting is done overseas. And that's a lot of the entry-level jobs for people to become architects. You've got to cut your teeth doing the crap work. So here's people unemployed. Now look at that, 1.7 million. Sorry, underemployed. Unemployed, 923,000. The snapshot compares the number of people who have barriers to work with the number of vacant jobs at their skill level. The actual number of people without work is likely to be masked by the JobKeeper scheme exactly. It could be much higher than we realize, the report noted. The massive JobKeeper wage subsidy is being wound back, and the amount paid in unemployment benefits for the job seeker payment, previously called New Start, has also been cut back. We are, by the numbers, facing the worst recession in living memory, the report said. And most of this has been, well, self-inflicted. With the government's intervention, the government's lockdown and restriction has exacerbated the damage caused by, well, global economic events. And you have to ask, is it worth it? Rudd's calling for a royal commission into the media, which is ludicrous. It's funny, he's going on ABC wanting a royal commission into the media because he's worried about bias on the ABC. We need a royal commission into the way the government's handled this. That's what we need. For people seeking work, the numbers game is grinding and feels fruitless. Not only does it wear you down, it makes you feel like you have no value because you're constantly being rejected. Kristen O'Connelly, spokesperson for the Australian Unemployed Workers Union, said, well, blokes get to deal with that a lot more. Yeah, I guess that's the difference between the sexes, guys. You know, if you're out there trying to find a girl, you know, getting rejected is part of it. I guess that's the advantage you get trained up for, don't you? You know, particularly in your younger days, until the sexual market value improves your worth. We know that everyone is feeling demoralized, and the group feeling the least hope are people seeking entry-level positions, because they know they've got almost no chance of getting those jobs, but they're forced to apply for them. The charity's report calls for 3 major reforms: the creation of a single livable income, something akin to a universal basic income, investment in job creation, and the closure of the Job Active Service. Now, you're seeing more and more calls for UBI. Now, other places have experimented with this, and back in 2019, in February, I did a video where they were discussing Finland's attempt to implement UBI. It didn't work. I mean, people were happier, but it didn't help them get any more work, because it doesn't solve any of the underlying problems. And there's the question then, if everyone gets a basic income, what will that do to inflation? You know, it'll drive up the costs of all the things. We've got to look at the Cantillon effect, where the money will come in. Probably better than what we're doing now with stimulus, which essentially just gets shoved into housing everyone. But then Job Active as well. I know there's often, whenever we talk about this, there'll be people calling for the CEC, the old Commonwealth Employment, or CES, sorry, the Commonwealth Employment Service. I think there should be smarter ways to be able to find work with technology these days. Smarter ways. I can't say I've got any experience with it. People left comments and shared stories, and it sounded terrible. A lot of it sounded like that they would just encourage you to do some stupid course so they could tick a box and get paid. Probably the problem is they're probably incentivized to not help you find a job until you hit a certain amount of time unemployed, then they get a bonus. So this is the government trying to help, probably creating more of a problem. Instead of describing the bushfires and pandemic of 2020 as unexpected disasters, the report frames them as predictable crises that have exposed a failing safety net. Our system has been designed to look after the most disadvantaged best. Under extreme pressure, they have failed and people who need them the most, the report says. Well, see, this is the thing. We've got a culture now here in Australia where there's no incentive to save for a rainy day. It's not even discussed. Nothing in the media discusses it. There's no one highlighting the fact of having an emergency fund. We weren't taught anything like that at school. So you have generations now that have got no exposure to those ideas. No exposure. That's the advantage of YouTube and these platforms. People can go out and seek and learn more and get out of the Australian, houses, debt mind frame. But just look at what happens if you actually have savings and then you apply for Jobseeker. They want you to burn through it. They want you to burn through it all until you're poor. It needs to be framed not so as just to help someone out if they need it. It is an absolute just emergency thing to keep you from destitute. And we need to frame people to understand that this isn't for you. This is for someone who's really in trouble, who's probably on the brink of starvation, because they're going to suck your money out of you until you get to that point. Or they're going to take away all your savings until you have $5,000. And I know people will say, oh, there's all these little tricks you can do to get around these things. You don't want to be doing that type of crap. And seriously, come on.
Sorry, I couldn't quite...
My phone, I turned Siri on because I'm using it on my phone. And when I'm swearing, she is responding. What does that tell you? We must reimagine how we support each other to ensure help goes to those who need it most, and demand that government reorganizes its systems to make this happen. We need to realize that the government isn't here to help us. That all that money they're taking off us it's not being put aside for us. They're just going to friddle it away, and then they'll be siphoning money off people in the future, or getting debt off people in the future to pay for all of these things. They're not very good with it. They're not very good with it, are they? So, job seeker Joel, who spoke on condition of anonymity because he is contracted for another month, said the situation was no easier for skilled and qualified workers. With a 25-year work history, he's struggling to get an interview for roles within his expertise. You get told everything. You're too experienced. Your experience does not match our requirements. The role was went to an internal candidate, he said. There's so many reasons I've been given for not getting an interview or progressing to the next step. People like Sonia want to get a job, but the numbers are against them. I want to work. I mean, this guy Joel here looks like he's perhaps too old. I want to work. I'm very much looking, she said, detailing how she had fronted up to almost every store in the suburbs around where she lived. It's a blow to self-esteem, she said. Well, you've got to understand, guys, these businesses don't want to take on people if they can't afford it. They're going to do everything because their houses are on the line. A lot of them are small business owners. The government could change the rules any minute now and lock everything down. So they're going to do everything they can to avoid taking on extra costs. We're just starting to see the beginnings of all of this, guys. What's going to happen? I've got another video we'll be looking at where mortgage holidays may go on for years. If the government doesn't remove these support mechanisms and all these interventions in the market and the banks giving people holidays, will it ever actually be able to return to a normal market? Or will we be stuck in this limbo? It's not just a physical toll, getting up, dressing up, looking the part, going in, applying 90% of the time. I'm not even expecting a call back. It's really hard getting rejected for jobs you have the skills for. Tomorrow we will get a clearer look at our unemployment problem, with the Australian Bureau of Statistics releasing the September labour force figures. The expectation is that unemployment rate will rise from 6.8% to 7.1%. And as I said again, everyone, you need to look at the Roy Morgan numbers. Under the international methodology used, working as little as just 1 hour in the reference week counts you as being employed. The ABS also compiles an underemployment figure for those who would like to work more hours than they are. It remains stuck at 11.2% since August. So, there we have it, everyone. In some cases, over 100 job seekers for every job. Over 100 job seekers for every job. What do you think is going to happen, guys? Do you think there are going to be more calls for a UBI going out there? It may not help people find jobs, but it will probably reduce mental health issues. It'll make them happier, make people feel safer. I can appreciate that aspect of it. The problem is if you want to remove all welfare, you need to remove all of the infrastructure in place for it. Then you have different special interest groups lobbying the government for UBI plus, or we need UBI bonus. You can see where it would go. We'd get the exact same mess. You only get the benefit of it if you cut all the government services. Could you imagine firing that many people? Never happen. The unions wouldn't allow it. It'd be too much of an outrage. You're taking our jobs, putting us on UBI. Oh no, we don't have any actual usable skills. Anyway, guys, it's tough out there. Particularly for the people getting in. You can see why they're pushing for these credits for the younger ones to try and get in the market. What do you think? Are you out there looking for a job right now? Are you finding that it's bloody hard? Do you have a business? Are you looking at taking people on, or are you going to hold off and wait? Or are you going to borrow that money, those business loans, and use that to employ someone for that $100 a week credit? As always, let me know your thoughts and opinions in the comments down below. Please like, share, and subscribe to the channel. If you're a fan and want to support the content we create here, there are a few ways you can. You can join us on YouTube or Patreon. You can support us using our affiliate links at Amazon, eBay, Independent Reserve, or Kucoin. You can buy merch from HeiseSays, use a gold pass from the Perth Mint, or support us via PayPal. Take care, guys. Have a great day. I'll see you in the next episode.